Welcome back to Explaining Everything, the channel where we dive into the stories and mysteries behind everyday things. Today's question comes from one of our curious viewers, Toaster Enthusiast 77. Thanks for the suggestion, Toaster. You asked, why do we say cheese when taking pictures? If you've ever been in a group photo, you've probably shouted cheese without even thinking about it. But have you ever stopped to wonder, why cheese? Why not banana, penguin, or I promise I'm having fun? Well, today we're digging into the weird history behind this classic photography tradition, uncovering how it started, why it works, and whether it's time to upgrade to something even better. So, if you're ready to stop fake smiling and start understanding, let's get into it, right here on Explaining Everything. Before we dive into cheese, let's take a quick trip back to old-timey photography, when cameras were the size of refrigerators, and getting your picture taken required more patience than renewing your driver's license. Back in the 1800s, people in photos looked, well, miserable. Not because they were miserable, although, let's be honest, life was mostly plagues and corsets back then, but because early cameras had really slow shutter speeds. If you had to hold a pose for several minutes, you wouldn't want to be caught mid-smile either. A nice, neutral expression was just easier to maintain. Also, people back then associated smiling in pictures with looking foolish. This was an era when having your portrait taken was a serious, dignified affair, like getting knighted, but with slightly less sword involvement. If you flashed your pearly whites, you might as well have been the town jester. But obviously, somewhere along the way, we stopped looking like haunted Victorian dolls and started cheesing for the camera. So, what happened? The exact origins of say cheese are a little fuzzy, but most historians agree it started gaining popularity in the early to mid-20th century. One of the first known references comes from a 1943 article in the Big Spring Herald, a newspaper from Texas because, of course, it's from Texas. The article credited then U.S. Ambassador Joseph E. Davies with a technique saying that he instructed people to say cheese because it forced their mouths into a natural smile. And he was onto something. When you say cheese, your mouth stretches into a grin, and your cheeks lift just enough to make you look pleasantly photogenic, like a friendly politician who definitely wants your vote. But the real reason cheese stuck. It's easy to say, it works, and let's be real, it's fun. Imagine if photographers back then had gone with something less friendly, like say mortgage or say tax audit. Humanity would have never recovered. Okay, so we get why we say something to make people smile, but why cheese and not, say, broccoli or waffles? Well, it turns out that cheese is just the right kind of word. It has a long E sound, which naturally lifts the corners of your mouth, creating that perfect camera-ready grin. Try it. Say cheese. Now say walrus. One makes you look like a happy human. The other makes you look like you just lost an argument. Plus, cheese itself is pretty delightful. Who doesn't like cheese? It's the universal food of joy. If someone shouted, "Say kale," before taking a picture, half the group would just look confused, and the other half would be having a moral crisis. Of course, not every culture uses cheese to get people smiling. Different languages and regions have their own versions, and some of them are way more interesting. In Spain, people say patata, which means potato, and honestly, I respect it. In Korea, they say kimchi, which is fitting because nothing sparks joy like fermented cabbage. In China, some photographers use jietsu, which means eggplant. Again, a strong choice. In France, they say ouistiti, which means marmoset, a tiny, mischievous monkey. Just imagine a French photographer yelling, "Say marmoset," and tell me that isn't better than cheese. Some modern photographers have even ditched cheese entirely in favor of getting people to laugh naturally. Instead of forcing a smile, they'll tell a joke, ask an absurd question, or just let the group relax. Because let's be honest, a fake cheese grin is nothing compared to a real, caught-in-the-moment smile. Look, cheese has had a good run, but let's be honest, it's kinda outdated. It's the Nokia ringtone of photography, the MySpace of forced smiles. Should we finally retire it and upgrade to something that actually makes people laugh? Absolutely. Imagine this. You're at a wedding. The photographer lines everyone up, and instead of cheese, they yell, "Your zipper's down." Half the people panic, the other half laugh. Either way, genuine emotion. Or even, the group chat was leaked. The perfect mix of panic, betrayal, and forced laughter. At the end of the day, the best smiles come from actual joy, not some random dairy product. So maybe next time you're taking a picture, ditch the cheese and go for something that makes people laugh for real. Or, if all else fails, just tell everyone to look hot. Works every time. So, why do we say cheese when taking pictures? Because it's easy, it makes us smile, and some guy in the 1940s decided it was a good idea. But should we keep saying it? Maybe, maybe not. All I know is next time I take a group photo, I'm making everyone say, "Free guacamole." If you liked this video or thought of a new catchphrase when taking a picture, hit that like button and subscribe. Also, if you have suggestions for our next video, feel free to share them in the comments below. We'll be sure to give you an acknowledgement for your contribution. Thank you for tuning in, and join us next time here in the channel that answers all the why, what, who, where, and how questions you've always wondered about, here on Explaining Everything.